So Elizabeth Warren was asked about impeachment at her CNN town hall, and I didn't like her answer because it appears to me like she's trying to play politics in the sense that she's trying to find a way to have an edge over Bernie and have a way to say, make the bullshit claim, me? No, I'm further left. See, look at what I said on impeachment. Huh? Like, I'm more progressive. I'm a bigger fighter than Bernie. Yeah, so I just get the sense this is, like, super similar to a lot of the stuff she's done in the past, like not endorsing Bernie, for example, in 2016. It's like a political calculation, and I don't think she's being forthright about her motivation in saying what she's saying here. So let's take a look, and then I'll break it down.
You have called for impeachment proceedings to be initiated against President Trump. What do you say to those Democrats who say, look, this is not the time. It's going to take away focus from winning in 2020. Speaker Pelosi told her caucus again just today that she has no plans to immediately initiate impeachment proceedings.
So there is no political inconvenience exception to the United States Constitution. This one is, if I can, I want to take a little time on this because I think this is really important. Last Thursday, I'd been to South Carolina. This was all about climate change. That's where I was, South Carolina, coastal communities that were protesting offshore drilling. I then came to Colorado, the biggest drought in 1,200 years. And then to Utah, where they had one of the worst wildfire seasons in a generation. And I'm on an airplane coming back, and the Mueller report drops. And so I start reading it on the airplane. I read it on through the evening. I read it into the wee hours of the morning. And when I get to the end, three things just jump off the page. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, an independent, a libertarian, a vegetarian. Three things just totally jump off the page. The first is that a hostile foreign government attacked our 2016 election in order to help Donald Trump. The evidence is just there. Read it, footnote after footnote, page after page documentation. Part two, Donald Trump welcomed that help. So on the first one about what they did, understand, this was a sophisticated attack. They attacked part of the voting system. That's going to be an ongoing federal investigation. They hacked into more than 50 computers at the DNC, the DCCC, a very serious attack. And Donald Trump welcoming it in the Mueller report. Just read it. He gets off the phone from an unnamed caller and looks up and says to the other person in the phone, there are more leaks coming. The idea that he was welcoming what was happening from the Russian government. And by the summer of 2016, the report documents that by that point, the Trump campaign actually had a worked out formal process for dealing with the leaks that were coming in from the Russians. So that's part two. Part three is when the federal government starts to investigate part one and part two. Donald Trump took repeated steps aggressively to try to halt the investigation, derail the investigation, push the investigation somewhere else, but otherwise keep that investigation from going forward and turning into a serious investigation about a hostile foreign government that attacked us and about his own personal interests. So here's how I see this. If any other human being in this country had done what's documented in the Mueller report, they would be arrested and put in jail. Obstruction of justice is a serious crime in this country. But Mueller believed, because of the directions from Donald Trump's Justice Department, that he could not bring a criminal indictment against a sitting president. So I think he's wrong on that, but that's what he believed. So he serves the whole thing up to the United States Congress and says, in effect, if there's going to be any accountability, that accountability has to come from the Congress. And the tool that we are given for that accountability is the impeachment process. This is not about politics. This is about principle. This is about what kind of a democracy we have. In a dictatorship, everything in government revolves around protecting the one person at the center. But not in our democracy and not under our Constitution. We have checks and balances, and we have to proceed here in a way understanding our place in history that not only protects democracy now, but protects democracy when the next president comes in and the next president and the president after that.
But
that's our responsibility.
But you started off by talking about some of your travels and people talking about climate change and their concerns and tabletop issues.
Yes.
Doesn't putting a lot of Democrats focused on impeaching the president, which is not going to pass in the Senate, it's not really going to go anywhere in that sense, doesn't that take away focus from the tabletop issues that you and other Democrats say they want to run on?
So, let me just say, if you've actually read the Mueller report, it's all laid out there. It's not like it's going to take a long time to figure this out. It's there. It's got the footnotes. It's got the points. It connects directly to the law. But this really is fundamentally, I took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And so did everybody else in the Senate and in the House. And I believe that every person in the Senate and the House ought to have to vote and to say either, yeah, that's okay with me. Yeah, let a president just step in the way he did when he told the White House counsel to go fire Mueller, and then told the White House counsel to go lie about having told the White House counsel to go fire Mueller, and then told the White House counsel to write a letter saying that Donald Trump had not told him to go fire Mueller, and then to say, why on earth would you take notes about what I said to you? The lawyers I deal with never put anything in writing. If there are people in the House or the Senate who want to say that's what a president can do when the president is being investigated for his own wrongdoings, or when a foreign government attacks our country, then they should have to take that vote and live with it for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I don't think that's nearly as poignant and powerful as you think it is. All right, so let's break this down. One of the things she said that stuck out to me there is, quote, there is no political inconvenience exception to the Constitution. So, in other words, that's a way of saying, I don't care that this will hurt Democrats, I'm still for doing it. Okay, but at least acknowledge that other part, because that's true. That's true. And also, if you were really principled on this, then you should have supported impeachment for Barack Obama, because he took 2 wars to 7, and they were illegal and offensive, and that's a violation of the Constitution, because under the Constitution, Congress has to declare war. So if you truly believe there is no political inconvenience exception to the Constitution, you should have been for impeaching Barack Obama. You also should have been for impeaching George W. Bush, even though that would have gotten us Dick Cheney, who is, I think, unquestionably worse. So that sounds like it's like an intelligent and hard-hitting thing to say. There's no political inconvenience exception to the Constitution. But it really just strikes me as she's posturing here. Like, oh, I'm going to have an argument now where I can say I'm to the left of Bernie, because Bernie, I think, gave a much more thoughtful answer and basically said, hey, listen, man, we live in the real world. If we do impeachment, that sucks the air out of the room in the national discourse, and all we will talk about from now until the election is impeachment. And that is a giant gift to Donald Trump, and that means we're not talking about Medicare for all, we're not talking about free college, we're not talking about a living wage, and I want to win, and the way you win is to do that. So I really disliked her answer here. Now, a lot of the other stuff, I think she played really loose with the facts here. So she said, for example, a hostile foreign government attacked our 2016 election. Okay, go into specifics, please, Liz. And if you asked her, what would she have to say? Well, one of the things she'd have to say is troll farms. There was a troll farm that spent less than $200,000 on ads that had, like, no impact. Meanwhile, the fucking the campaigns funded by corporate money and rich folks, one raised over $1 billion. That was Hillary. Donald raised almost $1 billion. Like that, the impact of that on the election is much more corrupt and much more powerful than less than $200,000 in fucking like Facebook ads and shit. And you're going to categorize that as, and I quote, a hostile foreign government attacked our 2016 election. That's such a hyperbolic way of saying that, and it's dangerous. And then also, by the way, she may have been referring to, if you pushed her on it, well, the DNC leaks. Like a hostile foreign government got those emails. Yeah, but Liz, then your argument has to be, if only we could have hidden the truth from the American people, then our side might have won. That has to be your argument. Because, in my opinion, regardless of who gave us that information, we should have seen it. In the same way, you would never hear me argue against leaks on the RNC or leaks on the Trump campaign that expose corruption and wrongdoing. I would never argue against that. And by the same token, I'm never going to argue against more transparency that exposes wrongdoing on the Democratic side. Are you kidding me? We learned from these emails, from these leaks, that Hillary Clinton was talking about how in this country we have an intolerable bigotry against the rich. She spoke about how she wants totally free and open trade borders, which is like NAFTA on steroids. She spoke about how she has public positions and private positions. This isn't stuff the American people should know. We shouldn't have learned that the DNC was acting as a campaign arm of Hillary Clinton, literally. They had an agreement, a fundraising agreement. She got last word on the fucking press releases. We learned that Donna Brazile gave Hillary the fucking debate questions beforehand. Your argument is we shouldn't have learned any of that because of the source. And by the way, you're categorizing it as, quote, a hostile foreign government attacked our 2016 election. That's stupid and that's dangerous and you're playing loose with the facts and I think you know you are, Liz. Then she said Trump welcomed that help. Yeah, he did. And Hillary welcomed the help from the Ukrainian government. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. Now, am I saying we should prosecute Hillary for accepting help from the Ukrainian government? No, I don't give a fuck. In the same way, I don't give a fuck if interference helped the Trump campaign. This is what happens in elections. Not only that, the Hillary campaign got help from the Russian government as well because some of the Steele dossier came from a source inside the Kremlin. So, but again, it's all a wash. I don't care about any of this, but you're the one who cares about it. You're the one who keeps bringing it up, and you're the one who's saying, like, Trump welcomed the attack on our election. Some people went as far as to call this a fucking Pearl Harbor. I mean, it's just so stupid. Then she said they attacked the voting system. They attacked the voting system? How many votes were changed because of Russia? I'll wait. 0. You got to stop with the hyperbole. And by the way, if you're really concerned about that, oh my God, our elections, we got to protect them. Support paper ballots. Support Tulsi Gabbard's bill, paper ballots. Also, support an increase in cybersecurity for the DNC, for the RNC, and for our government. That's the answer. Like, notice, they always talk about the problem, never talk about the answer. Why? It's almost because they just want to use this for political hack reasons. And then the final point is, listen, the argument, because they know this is the argument they have to make, she wants to impeach. Now, does she want to impeach over emoluments? No. There's a much better argument there. Does she want to impeach over Yemen? No. Because at least those arguments are substantive that you can use against them, okay? What does she want to impeach over? Obstruction. Liz, you know what their response is going to be. Their response is going to be obstruction. But Mueller says there's no evidence of collusion. So we're obstructing over a crime that didn't happen. So is that really obstruction? I mean, fine, you want to make that argument, go right ahead. But the Republicans are going to win that argument all day long in the same way that when they went after Bill Clinton and impeached, his approval rating went up. I guarantee you that happens with Trump. If they try to impeach, the approval rating will go up. I guarantee you that happens. 100%. 100%. Right now his approval rating went down. Yeah, because the Mueller report showed him to be a fucking idiot and a jackass, as we all knew. He said, I'm fucked. Why? Because he has a guilty conscience. He's been a career criminal his entire fucking life. But, I mean, in the same way that Bill Clinton's approval rating went up, Donald Trump's approval rating will go up if you impeach. That's a guarantee. Now, she can respond and say, I don't care. Okay, fair enough. But you're still actively damaging the Democrats' chance in 2020, which I don't want to do. I want to win. I want to get him out of office. God damn it. My problem with these people is that they're not actually grappling with the counter arguments. They're not grappling with it. They're just like, saying, I'm going to put the blinders on and do whatever I think is politically convenient for me for 2020, even if that means doing a strategy that will actively damage our chances of winning. Just let's move on, man. Move on. I mean, he's so beatable, and it's so obvious. And for the Democrats to make a giant political calculation and try to do impeachment, it really is a giant gift to Trump. Nothing will fire up that rabid base more than that. Make him the martyr that he wants to be so desperately. Don't do it. Bernie's answer was way better than Elizabeth Warren's on this issue.